Hi, I hope you all are doing very well. My name is Sofia, and today I'm gonna be your mediator for today's intercultural dialogue. And this is gonna be around the question, how should a modern state be configured in order to ensure the integration of cultural diversity and the creation of a real climate of equality and equity? So first, I'm going to introduce the problem situation, indigenous people in Mexico. The 1st of January in Chiapas, Mexico, the Zapatista movement started, and headed by the Ejército Zapatista de Liberación Nacional, or known as the EZLN. This movement demanded justice and vindication of the indigenous people. The Zapatistas raised in arms the day the free trade agreement in North America came into effect, demanding the lands taken from indigenous communities, a better distribution of wealth, and the participation of the different ethnic groups in the organization and political life of the country. Civil society mobilized to stop the confrontation, and after 12 days of armed conflict, the first conversation between the Zapatistas and the federal government began, which ended with the signing in 1996 of the San Andrés Agreements on Derecho y Cultura Indígena. So now the actors are going to be introduced. These are the three main actors identified in the problem situation: the Mexican state, indigenous communities, and international organizations.
Okay, first, the Mexican state or the government. In that time, Carlos Salinas de Gortari was the president of Mexico, and when the EZLN, or the Ejército Zapatista de Liberación Nacional, decided to take different locations in Chiapas by force. The federal government sent the army to quell the rebellion, and on the 12th of the same month, the government and the Zapatistas would begin the rapprochements through negotiations and dialogue in order to seek to solve the conflict. They have reached agreements and disagreements at different times, and because of this, the Mexican government implemented some reforms and political changes. However, as the Ejército Zapatista demands were not met, they broke off the dialogue, and consequently, the post-Salinas president, Ernesto Zedillo, responded with a new military offensive and ordered the capture of the Ejército leaders. But when Mexican society also began to demonstrate against the violent actions and countries from America and Europe joined, the Mexican government reversed its attacks against the Ejército Zapatista and the people of Chiapas.
Well, what we have done to us is that we have been attacked as an indigenous community, exploited, discriminated, and completely excluded from the political and economical life of our nation. They have taken our lands, and we have fought for 400 years or more to recover them, even though we tried dialogue and war, but none of this worked. What we demanded was work, land, shelter, food, health, education, independence, freedom, democracy, justice, and peace. And what we want and we demand from the government is the recognition and autonomy of our indigenous communities. We want the San Andrés Agreements on rights and culture to be respected, and the acceptance of Zapatista proposal for the reform of the Constitutional Article 27.
Now, as the international organizations, as the U.S. government, during the uprising of the Ejército Zapatista, some of the sympathizers were mainly foreigners. And in the USA, some of them knew about the Zapatistas' activities thanks to the internet, due that the Zapatistas have actually the first website dedicated to a social activity, made popular by the Washington Post in 1994 and by the Canada government. Well, both are parts of the NAFTA agreement. The situation in Mexico, as one of the negotiation parts of the treaty, the uprising couldn't pass unnoticed. So the uprising gained sympathizers as well through fax and internet. And the human rights by part of the United Nations organization disapproved the measures taken by the administration of President Salinas, remarking on the unnecessary casualties from the Zapatistas and the civils in the area of Chiapas.
Well, thank you very much, each of you actors, for giving the context and giving the justifying the why of your actions, no? And so, given those actual arguments and context, nowadays, how can we come to an agreement in which interculturalism is the way into a solution? So consider the following: indigenous interests and needs, interculturalism objectives, principles of human rights, and cultural rights. So bringing back a little bit of what is interculturalism and what we are considering within this dialogue is to more than just respect and know that there are different cultures, to identify their needs, find the social justice, and to accept each of the cultures as an equal one. No like there's no superior cultures, and so within knowing that, we must start our dialogue and look for a solution.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. So here you have we've chat about it. Right now we'll chat about it and about your biggest findings, what you can do as an actor in this dialogue. So who wants to start? Who has?
Let's start.
Great.
Okay, me as actor one and the government or Mexican state, okay, the Mexican government must continue trying to obtain peace with the Ejército Zapatista de Liberación Nacional through negotiation and dialogue, and giving them what they are requesting, that is work, land, shelter, food, health, education, independence, freedom, democracy, justice, and peace. Because even today, 30 years after the uprising of the Ejército, this army is still fighting for their rights, and they have not achieved them because of the corrupt government. So we compromise to achieve that, to get for everyone peace and the rights that they deserve.
Okay, and I have a question. Maybe how would be a action, like an actual action you can propose to do different from the past?
Me as a government, I suppose, maybe I suppose to give them what they want, that is shelter, work, land, food, and everything that is there, because those are the rights that every people in the country deserve. But as in the past, it was of the leader a president that was he was like a lot of corrupt. Then now in the present, we have to erase all of that and to start a new day, and giving them what they are requesting. That how I have said already, those are the rights that they deserve, that every people deserve in all the world.
Yeah, you're right, because now, as you said, like in the past, the bare minimum that was respecting their dignity as a human wasn't being respected, no? So now what you're proposing really sounds really good to me. Thank you very much. Who wants to be next?
I want to continue. I, as an actor too, and a representative of indigenous communities, based on, well, the right that everyone should be treated equally and everyone should be respected as a culture in this country. We think that we have to keep attempting, this dialogue with the government to reach an agreement, such as the ones established in the past. However, this time we need to actually respect, the agreement. And I think that in order to make it easy for both of us in this conflict, the indigenous communities could try to agree to a more progressive plan in order to slowly reach our demands, instead of direct change as it had been proposed in the past by changing directly articles in the Constitution and establishing an abrupt change.
Okay, thank you very much. Sounds good. And now the international institutions.
Okay, so as a representative of the international institutions, the best we can do is to bring the situation to the world. I think it's really important to the rest of the institutions to have this awareness of the situation in order to bring help and also take the experts needed in order to achieve these agreements. Sometimes the intentions are present, but there is a lack of information, a lack of professionalism that is required in order to have satisfied the both parts, in this case, mainly the indigenous communities. So as international institutions, I think the best we can do is to, well, sound the alarm, make the news, make people know, so maybe we can slow down the aggressiveness and lead to a peaceful treaty.
Okay, that sounds really good. I must ask, do you have like any questions left for any of the three actors?
Well, there is maybe for the indigenous communities to consider another international institution to help you in order to have the necessary tools. Have you considered this for your cause, for your objective?
Well, mainly from our perspective, since we want autonomous communities, we don't really seem the need to, well, find help outside of our communities. We want, well, to fight for our cause and reach an agreement with the government in order to be respected as individuals. However, it will be considered and pretty helpful if the international communities desire to help us reach an agreement with the government.
I have a question. As the Zapatistas' main philosophies are about guided by socialism and communism, do you think this has been a challenge to achieve more the interculturalism within the country or your own state? Oh, the three can answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the Zapatistas' philosophy is based on socialism and communism. So this is about equity, and we all have the same, no? So we all share the money, we all share the resources. So do you think that by having this philosophy, it may be a challenge to be intercultural within the country or within Chiapas?
Well, of course, having different ideologies in the rest of the country and the communities, it's well, quite difficult to like reach a middle point in which we can like respect each other and have like peaceful relationships. However, that's mainly the reason why we want autonomy on our own communities in order to not create these violent reactions between different ideologies and just have our own set of rules on our places and the different set of rules on the rest of the country while being respectful to each other.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe all the ideology of the whole country is like capitalism. So why the ideology of the Ejército Zapatista is communism is like a little bit different. They're like a little bit difficult, sorry, difficult to like to go or to achieve an agreement. But I am sure that with negotiation and dialogue, we are going to come to an agreement and to like all be in peace.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we all achieved to respect our ideas and to have an intercultural dialogue. I really do appreciate that, and I thank you very much for this, for your time and for being so open. Can you please show the last slide? Thank you very much. That will be it. And so we may finish this session.
Okay, goodbye.